just run away, find a place our hearts were meant to stay. The treetops and the mountainsides make us feel at home as we pass by. I would never make it through this busy world without the thought of you. The thought of you. I can feel the sun and the air inside my lungs. There's nothing else that makes me feel alive. With the universe in blue, and all I need is you. Nothing else, nothing else. Sometimes it takes us feeling small to feel anything at all. Here in this moment is where you find where you belong. I can feel the sun and the air inside my lungs. Nothing else that makes me feel alive. With the universe in blue, and all I need is you. Nothing else, nothing else. And the air inside my lungs. It makes me feel alive. With the universe in blue, and all I need is you. Nothing else, nothing else.
Well, happy Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Friday, whatever day, whatever time zone it is for you. I'm sending out greetings. Today I'm going to be joined by John LeBon, and we're going to discuss science skepticism. So I guess I'm going to start the show off with, I'm going to play the Flat Earth Rebel Outpost. If you haven't checked it out, everybody, please get over and check this out. So I'm going to screen share it now. Thanks. Joined soon by John LeBon. This is Event Skeptic, and just happy to be here.
We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
Across a giant sphere with a radius of 150 million kilometers surrounding our star.
Hi, I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm an astrophysicist.
What's on the other channel? At the secret Flat Earth Rebel Outpost, we are turning Flat Earth activist into Flat Earth Ninja. We train them for graffiti, sticker, assassin, and kidnap of mainstream astronomer. Today we're training for Flat Earth sticker.
Ninja, you have failed. It's not funny.
I try again.
Much better.
Ninja Wakey and Ninja Matrix take their skills out into the field and target a bus stop. In Flat Earth Ninja training camp, we have compost toilet where we put sawdust down after we do number 2. I teleported to my ninja master friend in Sydney, and he says sawdust go down compost toilet same way, and Coriolis effect is nothing but a myth. Also, in Western world, spherical model people, they like to do number 2 on clean drinking water. Ninja Matrix decode spherical Earth many times. For many globalist Earther, they do not know their spherical model. At Ninja Training Camp Flat Earth, we know spherical, and we know how to deflate the spherical with ninja power. Ninja Matrix do very well. Deflate the globalist model. Very good, Ninja Matrix. Very good. Well done. At Flat Earth Ninja Training Camp, we also have chicken that give us protein with their egg. Some people not very clever think chicken come from dinosaur. Sometimes with crispy noodle, we like to eat chicken. Ninjas once went to NASA headquarters and stole their green screen technology. us next time for more Flat Earth Ninja. New Adobe Photoshop NASA Edition. For those who do not have an endless supply of tinfoil, egg boxes, and cornflakes packets, complete with 1,000 satellite plugins for all your NASA needs. Order online or update from an earlier version. Enroll now for one of our Illuminati universities across the nation. Learn the error-ridden spherical Earth model in astrophysics, or learn to be a transhumanist via MIT, or learn to lie for money via business economics. Remember, with us you're safe, because you pay for your own mind control at interest.
Initiations into one of our secret societies take place midnight on Wednesdays down in the chapel.
Spending hours trying to explain the Flat Earth model to friends and family? Are they stuck in perpetual statist darkness through atheistic and Darwinian lies? Why not show them the new, limited edition Flat Earth keyring? And if they still don't understand, switch it on and show them the light. Or buy two and wear them as earrings. Coming soon from Rebel Outpost.
Monkey's been here for a little while. He's a recovering globehead. Today he's not very happy and he's sitting on the edge of the pond. You okay, Monkey? I'm not happy because I found out the human race didn't evolve from us. We didn't evolve from sea bacteria. Oh, Monkey, you've got enough on your plate with all your globehead issues. We can heal you here at the Flat Earth Hospital. It's too late for me. I'm done for. Come on, Monkey. We've got all the facilities at the Flat Earth Hospital, our private clinic. Don't do it, Monkey. We're going to come and talk to you later. Monkey. No, Monkey.
No.
Monkey. Hello, welcome to the Flat Earth Hospital. We've been up and running since March 2015 when the Flat Earth exploded. We're a private clinic catering for globeheads, recovering globeheads, and those who've gone mentally crazy during research. Our hospital is off-grid to help patients recover completely from system programming. All our patients you see today did not want their faces recorded. Thank you. In this ward, we have the illustrious Brian Cox and Neil deGrasse Tyson. We captured them. Sorry, they came of their own free will.
Of all the places I would travel through space and time, I choose here, in this room, to explore nature and to find new worlds.
We have them on special medicine to help them.
Just like the Doctor, we could one day conquer time.
Don't take too much of that medicine, Space Cadets, or it may go a little bit pear-shaped. At this part of the Flat Earth Hospital, we have more severe cases. We have them down in a cave. For the real severe cases of globalism, they're having trouble healing. We've spoken to our dietary consultant, Patricia Steer. She's had these people on a special diet of raw greens and blood. Dr. Matrix.
G'day, Max.
G'day, mate.
This flat earth movement is getting out of control. What are we going to do about this rebel outpost?
We got to take them out, no matter what. We're in trouble. We got the CIA buses up our ass. Now national security buses up our ass.
Yeah, but what are we going to do?
Whatever it takes.
Excellent, excellent, excellent video. Huge shout out to Wakey and Matrix Decode, as they've come up with some ingenious work. It's funny, it's comedical, it's everything you could possibly want. So now I'm just waiting here for John LeBon to join us. We're going to talk maybe some dino hoax. We're going to talk some science hoax, the bye-bye Big Bang, and multiple ongoing topics that we all share, I hope and wonder. Yeah, so maybe I'll play a video. See, my question now is the recent discovery of pliable dino tissue. I'm wondering if that's just a COINTEL operation to hide the fact that people are starting to figure out that dinosaurs might be entirely a hoax, and that the fossil fuels and other things like this aren't actually created from rotted, decaying dinosaur bones. Maybe it's something different. Yeah, so let's take a look at another bit of information. Let's just keep this going.
Done. Back in 1993, when the movie came out, we actually had a grant from the National Science Foundation to attempt to extract DNA from a dinosaur. And we chose the dinosaur on the left, a Tyrannosaurus rex, which was a very nice specimen. And one of my former doctoral students, Dr. Mary Schweitzer, actually had the background to do this sort of thing. And so she looked into the bone of this T-Rex, one of the thigh bones, and she actually found some very interesting structures in there. We found these red circular looking objects, and they looked for all the world like red blood cells.
Okay, well, we're happy to pay the expense of having a lab do the test in addition to the $10,000 to the museum.
Do you know how carbon-14 works?
Yeah, I'm familiar, and I realize it's useless for anything over maybe 50,000 years or so. But I've done a talk show in Denver for 15 years, and there's a group of folks interested in science. Of course, that discovery caught their attention, and they thought, well, it'd be logical to do this, to just go ahead and do it, even though nobody would be inclined to do it, just like nobody would be inclined to look for soft tissue inside of a T-Rex.
The Triceratops head horn that you guys found and are bringing out. So this dinosaur, this Triceratops dinosaur, this was in the wrong layer according to their geological time charts.
When are they ever in the right layer, Trey?
Jack, is the amount too small that it's just not worth the consideration?
No, that's not it.
What if I were able to raise more money?
No, the amount of money has nothing to do with it.
A biology professor, Gregory Erickson, and he said, I'm looking at these teeth. They're 70 million years old. Now, he believes that.
The Lacoste family, their ranch, this is more than 85,000 privately owned acres. This is a sizable chunk of the dinosaur-rich land surrounding Dinosaur National Monument in Colorado, where the dinosaurs are all tangled up together, exactly like what you would find as the deposit from a global flood, which, by the way, the Hell Creek Formation, where Jack Horner found his T-Rex, the same kind of thing. You've got dinosaurs crumpled up in there exactly like a flood deposit. It's not just littered with enormous dinosaurs, creatures that couldn't even live in today's atmosphere or ecological system. But more than that, they pull stuff out of the ground there that even has NASA guys scratching their heads.
But one of the guys was walking, and in the road was a little washway, and he looked down and found this allosaur tooth. And what we're so excited about is, hopefully going back in May, this one has friends, right? If there's a skull up there, there are more of these. It's about, I keep forgetting how long this thing is, Trey, but it's almost, or either the largest one found or a tie for the largest allosaur tooth ever found.
But they're not. They're only thousands of years old. He says they're far more sophisticated than today's most accomplished crazers. And they're so well preserved, if we had a living dinosaur, I could put this in his mouth and it would probably still work.
A cover picture from American Laboratory. I submitted a picture of the soft tissue to them. They put it on the cover, and so the department promoted it within the department in our department newsletter. So everybody knew about the work that I was doing. And I got emails from some of the professors saying, great work, Mark, keep it up, keep up what you're doing. But then one day, this professor stormed into my lab. In fact, he couldn't get into my lab because my lab had an Omnicode lock, which required punching in a sequence of numbers. And so many faculty members did not have access to my laboratory. So he was pounding on the outside door. So I opened the outside door and he stormed in and he said, we're not going to tolerate your religion in this department.
And these soft tissue finds are becoming more and more prevalent in dinosaurs. And they can't fire everybody. And following suit with that, also can't rebury every dinosaur comes out of the dirt.
So the tree tangled up with the dead dinosaurs has no tree rings. And that would tend to indicate what's implied there is that whatever time period this was from, there weren't seasons, at least like we know them today.
Yeah.
Is would that be sort of the
That's absolutely what I'm saying. I mean, you just got to look at this with an open mind. You know, put the millions and zillions of years away.
And he's the one that terminated me about a week or so after my paper was published online.
So from apparently this man's, and you were fired at that point,
yes,
right, directly following this. So apparently it sounds like from his view, to say that the dinosaur was old would be science, but to release data that would indicate it was young, that would be religious.
And I didn't even state anything about the implications in the paper. I merely reported.
That's an interesting point. You didn't even state implications. You just stated this is what we found.
Correct.
Because carbon-14 doesn't work on something like this.
Right.
Your results that you get can be all over the place.
Well, they should be infinity. It should be not datable. In other words, it shouldn't come back saying it's 25,000 years old.
Right.
It should be infinity.
Let me tell you where I'm coming from here.
Sure.
Right? Obviously, your group is a group of creationists.
Yes.
And the spin they can get off of it,
right,
doing it, is not going to help. Not going to help us.
Yeah. So even though it's just a scientific test, they're not asking for voodoo.
It's not actually a scientific test. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Carbon-14 dating something with soft tissue in it.
Dinosaurs are young. All of them. course, you already knew that.
Well, Trey, I can't quite say that I do know that. Interesting enough, I kind of wonder if this group of people are not pushing this meme, this live tissue meme, just to back the fact that there were dinosaurs and that these skeletons haven't been glued together and paper mache made and buried and then redug up whenever these elite bloodline families feel like making a spectacle of things. Brings to mind all of the great wonders of the world have been discovered by these bloodline families, elite, like Machu Picchu, the Egyptian pyramids. I could go on, Stonehenge. I could go on and on and on and on. Basically everything you might have seen on Ancient Aliens. This is all property of these families. So I'm wondering how many of them are real, how many of them have been created. Still waiting for John LeBon. And maybe I'll play a John LeBon video now about dinosaurs. Let's get his take. Throw it to Australia and see how they deal with this dinosaur phenomenon, as we were just in Denver with Trey Smith in the previous video. I happened to question Trey Smith. I was a big fan of his, good friend. Except, he uses the Bible verse with the word sphere instead of circle of the earth, and I question his motives. But back to the dino talk. I'm going to throw a video on now by John LeBon while we contact John LeBon and see if he is available yet. Supposed to be here, so we'll see if he's around. Hold tight.
Hello everybody, John LeBon here on Friday the 2nd of October 2015, and I'm in sunny Brisbane, Australia at the Cultural Centre, which is here in South Brisbane / South Bank. That's the CBD over that way. And I'm here today because I've been doing a little bit of field work. That's right, I'm at the Museum and Science Centre, so-called, and I'm doing this because at the moment we're coming towards the end of their exhibition for 2015, Dinosaur Discovery. That's right, and out the front they've got a big Brachiosaurus. You can probably hear some of the sounds it's making in the background, and so anybody passing through this part of Brisbane can't help but see the big Brachiosaurus. Dinosaur Discovery, Lost Creatures of the Cretaceous. And I've already taken a tour. I just spent the last 2 hours in the museum recording and taking photos and getting a feel for what kind of nonsense they're peddling inside. So stay tuned to my channel over the next few days, weeks and months. I will be uploading that data in sections, but to give you a basic idea of what you can expect, take a look at what they've got written up for the Brachiosaurus. With a 9-meter long neck and long front legs, this dinosaur could reach leaves up to 15 meters high. Brachiosaurus belongs to a group of giant long-necked dinosaurs that lived during the late Jurassic to early Cretaceous period 150 million years ago. Their front legs were taller than their hind legs, and they were once thought to have spent their time standing submerged in lakes. Actually, they were surprisingly light for their size and would probably have kept floating to the surface like a cork. Yeah, that's right. These gigantic creatures who would require God knows how much muscle power just in their necks alone to hold their heads up, then in their legs to support their torsos, then heavy bones to support all of this musculaturism. That's right, these things were actually very light and would float like a cork. Sauropods like Brachiosaurus grew quite quickly from small beginnings. Their eggs were smaller than soccer balls. to giant adult size. To grow so fast, they needed huge amounts of food and would have had to search actively for plants to eat. Given this, their huge body size and the warm climate they lived in, you might expect they had very high body temperatures. However, scientists studying the carbon and oxygen isotopes in fossil bone and teeth think Brachiosaurus maintained a surprisingly low body temperature of 36 to 38 degrees Celsius. They probably had special ways to keep themselves cool. That's right. Scientists have looked at isotopes in bones and teeth that are millions of years old, and they've concluded that actually these things, these giant creatures, were actually pretty cool. And hey, they probably had special ways to keep themselves cool. Mistaken identity. For many years, large sauropod fossils found in Tanzania, as well as North America, were called Brachiosaurus. We now know that these are two different but closely related dinosaurs, Brachiosaurus in North America and Giraffatitan in Africa. Giraffatitan, I suppose that's supposed to be. Most of what we know about Brachiosaurus actually is based on Giraffatitan fossils. Yes, that's right. So Tanzania, which is of course in Africa, and in North America, two very similar but distinct creatures. And here we have that photo. Yes, of course. And there's some more information for you. And you can trust it because it came straight from scientists. Now, let me tell you this. If any of what I just read out seems a little bit suspicious to you, then just wait till I upload the videos from what else is being peddled in there. And the really sad thing is this is the last day of school holidays here in Brisbane. So the place was chock full of little children, and they're being fed this nonsense. And it's really quite incredible. And you can't blame the parents. The parents think that they're bringing their children somewhere where they'll learn science in a fun and creative way. And who knows, maybe one day little Georgie or Susie will grow up to be a great paleontologist. Just like, what's that guy now? Australia's climate change dude. I forget his name. He's a paleontologist as well. The whole thing's a sham. This is all a big sham. I'm going to expose that on my channel. It's not going to be easy to do. Obviously, I'm researching a whole number of things at the moment, so I can't promise that my videos will be up anytime soon, but I can promise you that I'm working on it. And I can assure you that if you have your mind even half ajar, then I won't really need to do much explaining. I can just show you the stuff and you'll piece it together. This, my friends, this so-called museum and science centre, this is a house of lies, a big gigantic house of lies. I'm going to expose it, and it will make precisely zero difference because I am not a scientist. I am just a regular person who can use his own mind and think critically. So what would I know about dinosaur discovery and the lost creatures of the Cretaceous? What would I know? I'm not a scientist. These people are bringing their children to learn from the scientists. That's right. So anyway, that's enough from me for today. Like I said, stay tuned to the channel, and those videos will be coming.
Excellent video, John. Still, what did you pass out? 1 second. So I guess there we have a bit of John LeBon's, questioning of this Brachiosaurus. It's funny because, I question quite a bit of these things as well myself, and definitely have been looking into them. It's tough because there's so many different things to research, and they're constantly bombarding people with hoaxes and scams and building up all kinds of horrific things, and they're never, news is never covering positive things or anything like that. But definitely here on this quick podcast, I wanted to work on scientific hoaxes. So maybe let's look at into some more scientific explanations. Maybe let's take a look into redshift and Alton Harp and Arp, see what he's been working on. I've shared some of this stuff in my own videos, and I guess I'd like to share the full video here to explain what we've been observing in the night sky using multiple different mechanisms, tools, cameras, measuring instruments, and things like that to try to understand the twinkly lights that we see. So let's have a listen to Expanding Universe Redshift Myth Debunked by Halton Arp using quasars.
When Hubble made his great discovery, it was for galaxies like our own Milky Way galaxy, and they all followed the same rule, that the fainter they are, the larger their redshift. In other words, the faster they are moving away from us. This is known as the Hubble law, and directly led to the expanding universe theories. But in the 1960s, there was a new discovery, the quasi-stellar objects, often referred to as quasars. They appear as star-like points on the sky, frequently blue in color, and they have very, very large redshifts, implying that they are at huge distances from the Earth, at the very boundaries of the observable universe. Some astronomers soon found that a vast number of these strange new objects populated the regions around spiral galaxies, and were not only observable with radio telescopes, but were optical and X-ray sources as well. There were two properties of the quasars that were difficult for astronomers to understand using the expanding universe theory. The first was that if one plotted their apparent brightness against their redshifts, as one does for galaxies, one gets an unexpected scatter on the diagram, instead of the smooth curve made by the same plot done for galaxies. This seems to indicate that the quasars do not follow the Hubble law as do most other objects, and that there is no direct indication that they are actually at their proposed redshift distances. In fact, it is argued that if Hubble had first been given the plots for quasars, he and other astronomers would never have concluded that the universe was expanding. The second property was that quasars are very small, compact objects, sometimes only a light year across. So if quasars are really at their extreme redshift distances, they must then be the brightest and most energetic objects known to astronomers. So energetic, in fact, that untestable, almost metaphysical mechanisms must be applied to explain the phenomena. On the other hand, when placed at their observed distances, that is, in the neighborhood of nearby galaxies, their brightness and energies become normal, and no special mechanisms need to be evoked. This problem has led many astronomers to abandon the idea that all redshifts are due to their speed of recession away from the Earth. And if this is true, then there is no need for an expanding universe, and the Big Bang never happened. The questions arise. Is there a connection between certain types of galaxies and the quasar? Are quasars ejected from galaxies, and in fact proto-galaxies themselves? Is there some other astrophysical process which can explain the redshift discrepancies? One of the world's most controversial experts on the structure and morphology of quasars, Halton C. Arp, has for 35 years proposed just such an idea. For the heresy of opposing orthodox interpretations of the redshift problem, Arp has had to pay a heavy price, the same price paid by many a scientist with new and innovative ideas. Dr. Arp was forced to resign from his permanent position at the Carnegie Institute of Washington Observatories after the Caltech head of the Telescope Allocation Committee threatened him by saying, unless he changed his line of research, they would take away his telescope time. Due to this fact and his ongoing struggle against the established paradigms, Arp is often referred to as the modern Galileo.
I remember when I sent the paper into, the first paper into Astrophysical Journal on on the nature of companion galaxies, and I had a lot of them on the ends of spiral arms, so to be sure that they were connected, and I showed that they were systematically redshifted. I sent that in with naive, great expectations that people would be terribly interested and impressed on this. And the editor of the Astrophysical Journal at that time was Subramanian Chandrasekhar, who had a fantastic reputation as a master theoretician and also quite an incomprehensible theoretician, and a tremendously powerful figure in the field, and editor of the Astrophysical Journal, which is probably the most powerful position in the field. And he chose not to, in his wisdom and judicial fairness, chose not to send it to a referee, but he just wrote across the paper, "This exceeds my imagination," and he sent it back to the director of my institute, Horace Babcock, with the obvious implication: you've got to do something about this staff member of yours who's doing these very bad things. And so Horace called me down in the office one day after this, and I walked in his office, into the director's office, and I saw this paper lying in front of him with Chandrasekhar scrawled across it. And Horace looked at me and said, "Well," he said, "this is just too much, and you're going to have to start looking for another job." And so all I could say to him was, "Well, if you send me that in writing, please send me in writing." And I was waiting in great trepidation for weeks and months to get something in writing, and I finally never did. So I realized that he decided to give me another chance, so to speak. So that was fairly early in the game, and then some years went by, and there was the competition for time, particularly on the 200-inch telescope, was getting more and more heated, and people were saying, "Well, we can't continue to give time to this obviously incorrect and embarrassing research that ARC does." So finally they sent a letter to me from the allocation committee, including a number of the younger members of my institute, saying that unless I changed my line of research, that they would have to take away my telescope time.
Excellent video. Incredible how this seems to happen all around the world. And yeah, let's take one more break, see if we can get John LeBon, and then we'll be back. Hold tight, 1 sec.
Okay, so thank you very much. This is gonna be my last song. This song is an Alexis on Fire song. It's called Happiness by the Kilowatt.
So this is continuous happiness. And you know right planes, the right shapes, the right frames. Things can really work. Oh, what? No, a great day to spend in dark. So back, just wait, where has all the day gone? Why are my lungs aching when I breathe? Is there something wrong from here? Why am I so gone? My heart feels sick, and it hurts when I speak. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night.
In this video, there's a minimum of 75 Bible verses with prophecies and Bible codes that prove a flat geostationary Earth. I've grouped most of these verses into groups of 3, so I'm going to be counting down from 25 to 1. It'll make sense to you in a minute. And I've saved the best 2 for last. So let's start with some easy ones. Number 25, corners. Isaiah 11, verse 12, 4 corners of the earth. Revelation 7, verse 1, 4 corners of the earth. Revelation 20, verse 8, the 4 corners of the earth. You can't have corners on a sphere. That's because the earth is not a sphere. It's flat. Number 24, still earth. 1 Chronicles 16, verse 30, the world also shall be stable, that it be not moved. Psalm 96, verse 10, the world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. Psalm 93 verse 1, the world also is established that it cannot be moved. It's all consistent, clear as day. If the world isn't moving, then it's not spinning, and neither is it orbiting around the sun. Number 23, pillars. 1 Samuel 2 verse 8, for the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he has set the world upon them. Job 9 verse 6, and the pillars thereof tremble. Psalm 75 verse 3, I bear up the pillars of it. There's nothing about a ball-shaped earth that you can fit pillars into. That's because the earth is not round, the pillars hold up a flat earth, there's a dome on top, the earth is flat. Number 22, the firmament dome. Isaiah 24 verse 18, for the windows of heaven are opened. It's a dome over a flat earth. Isaiah 13 verse 13, therefore I will make the heavens tremble. If the heavens can tremble, then it has to have solidity to it. Genesis 1 verse 6, and God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. It's a dome over a flat earth that separates the waters above the dome. I read this so many times and I didn't see what was going on. I read the word firmament, didn't understand it, but it makes so much sense now when you take it literally. Strong's Concordance defines the word firmament as a solid expanse, roughly like the domed roof on this building here. Here's the inside of that dome, and the stars that we see in the sky would be fixed into this solid firmament, and the whole thing rotates around a flat, stationary earth. That's why all the stars move around the sky together as one set piece, because you can only have a solid dome separating the waters above from the waters and seas below on a flat earth with the atmosphere in the middle. It doesn't work on a ball-shaped earth. Number 21, the firmament dome continued. Isaiah 44 verse 24, I am the Lord who made all things, who alone stretched out the heavens, who spread out the earth by myself. Well, you can't spread something out by rolling it into a ball. Psalms 18 verse 9, he bowed the heavens also. 2 Samuel 22 verse 10 repeats Psalms. It says, he bowed the heavens also. Strong's number H5186 describes the word bowed as bend. The heavens bend around us. It's a domed heaven around a flat earth. Number 20, the sun. There are 67 Bible verses that reference the sun moving. You can easily look this up. Here's a title on one website that lists them all. But zero, zilch, nothing, no Bible verses at all that ever make reference to the earth moving. So at the very least, the Bible supports a geostationary earth. Number 19, Bible codes. If you're familiar with Bible codes, then you'll know there's a matrix of flat earth clusters from Luke 13 verse 28 to Luke 14. Here's the matrix. Here's flat, earth, and an equidistant letter spacing. You'll also find dome, canopy, tent, truth, edge, disc, even, and a lot more. If you don't have Bible code software, then you can do this for free at biblecodewisdom.com. Number 18, height and depth. Job 11 verse 8, it is as high as heaven, what can you do? Deeper than hell, what can you know? So there's a height to heaven and a depth to hell. You can't have a height to heaven on a heliocentric, ever-expanding universe model. You can only have a height to heaven on a flat earth that has a dome over the top of it. Number 17, length and width. Job 11 verse 9, the measure thereof is longer than the earth and broader than the sea. It doesn't say longer than the sphere and broader than the curved ocean. You can't have a length and breadth on a ball unless you change the wording of the Bible to accommodate it. You can only have a length and breadth on a flat level plane. Number 16, wisdom. Colossians 2 verse 8 says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world. 1 Timothy 6 verse 20, false science. 1 Corinthians 3, verse 19, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. A ball-shaped world is wisdom to those that live in the world and get their information from TV or the education system. Wisdom of a global earth is literally foolishness with God. True wisdom is not taught in the education system, and neither will you find it on the 6 o'clock news. True wisdom is only found by carefully weighing up the options, and that's what we've been doing on this channel for the last few months, weighing up the evidence. Really try to understand what the Bible is saying here in these 3 verses, because it's telling us that the earth is flat, it's not round. Number 15, day and night. Job 26, verse 10. He has compassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. Well, that's interesting. Here's a flat earth map. The outer bounds are made of ice. The waters are literally compassed with an ice boundary. The sun goes around the earth like this. Both day and night can only come to an end where day and night meet the dome. Beyond the dome, time ceases to exist. Whoever happens to live in that realm outside the dimension of time, beyond the dome, which is the heaven, is also immortal. He's always been there. He can see the beginning and the end. Prophecies in the Bible, inspired by the Holy Spirit, show us the future is already foretold.
I'd just like to add to that point. It's also stated, like, if you want to kind of understand what it would be like to be outside of time, it would be like God sitting on top of the dome, and he'd be watching a parade. So if your perspective watching a parade on the street level, you would see the beginning floats carried on throughout, and then finally you'd see the Santa Claus float at the end. But from above, basically outside of that perspective, you would be able to see the beginning of the parade perspective and the finish. So basically you would be able to see the entire thing in one take, and that's kind of what I believe Tiger Dan's pointing out. And there's also other scriptures, including that Jesus is the only man that has ascended into heaven. So that kind of debunks NASA's whole man on the moon. Anyways, let's go back to this Tiger Dan video, because it's just kick butt. It's just awesome. Anyways, still waiting for John LeBon.
And when the Bible talks of the everlasting, that's the place we all go to at some point. Problem is, most of us who reject the truth will face everlasting shame. Like it or not, we're all going to meet our Maker someday. So day and night can't possibly come to an end on a ball earth model. That's because the earth isn't a ball, the earth is flat. Number 14, foundations. Job 38, verse 4. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if you have understanding. As we've just seen, the foundations of the earth are pillars. Isaiah 48, verse 13. My hand also has laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand has spanned the heavens. When I call unto them, they stand up together. If the heavens stand up at his command, then it's telling us here that the heavens are a dome, it's a solid dome, the earth is flat. Number 13, footstool. Isaiah 66, verse 1, the heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. Matthew 5, verse 35, he's swearing, nor by earth, for it is his footstool. Acts 7, verse 49, heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. This is what a footstool looks like. It's got 4 pillars. Here's another one. How exactly are you mistaking this for this? What footstool spins at 1,000 miles an hour? Number 12, desktop globe. Exodus 20, verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above or that is in the earth beneath. Isaiah 42, verse 8, neither my praise to graven images. It's also the second of the 10 commandments. So that rules out having a spinning globe on your desktop, because what's a spinning globe? It's a graven image that depicts the earth. Why was the...
I'd just like to add in here, basically, I don't know if everybody that's listening is a Bible scholar or someone who's partaked in extra canonical scripture teachings or learnings. It's stated that, in pre church date or BC times, that certain groups of people would fashion themselves out of wood and other images, and they'd make idols, and they would pray to them, and ask for food, and whatever they wanted. They'd pray to these wooden images. And basically it states in the Bible that God is the living God, and he's the only one that can answer your prayers or do anything about it. And he kind of doesn't like people praying to inanimate objects like golden calves or the sun or even this globe that Mr. Hovind is holding here. And just to add my 2 cents in, I don't know, maybe he cut a deal to get out of jail. Just the average appearance of the situation with Mr. Hovind, trying to debunk the flat earth, in my opinion, proves that, maybe he has to. I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't want to spend time in jail, but I'd definitely be giving out signals that I was being controlled as some sort of fake opposition. I wouldn't just start shooting down the flat earth researchers, because the Bible is a flat earth book. And we'll get back to Tiger Dan here and let him continue with his explanations. Hope everyone's enjoying this podcast. Thanks, John.
Commandment not to have those things, because it indoctrinates without even speaking. The earth isn't a globe, it's flat. Number 11, the stars. Matthew 24, verse 29. The stars shall fall from heaven. Mark 13, verse 25. And the stars of heaven shall fall. Revelation 6, verse 13. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth. We've all been brainwashed into thinking the stars are massive and trillions of miles away. The Bible is telling us the stars are not massive, they're small, close, and they're going to fall to the earth. So the universe that we see up there is dome-shaped and small enough to contain all the stars that circle around the flat stationary earth. Number 10, the universe. This is the ancient Hebrew view of the universe. We've got the earth on pillars, Sheol down there, and a dome over the flat geostationary earth, and all the stars and the sun and the moon inside the dome going around the earth. That's why in Genesis 1 verse 14 it says, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven, not orbiting a Milky Way galaxy, no, inside the dome, the firmament. Number 9, sun circuit. Psalm 96 verse 10, the world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. King James Version. Equally, that verse could support a ball-shaped earth, but it eliminates the possibility of the earth going around the sun. Bear that in mind for a moment. Psalm 19 verse 6, talking about the sun, his going forth is from the end of heaven, and his circuit until the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. If the sun has a circuit, then the sun is not the center of the solar system as we've been told. Critics will say, yes, but the sun is on a circuit. It circles the center of our Milky Way galaxy. Well, if the earth is established that it cannot be moved, but the sun goes around the Milky Way, then the sun would fly off away from the earth and we'd never see the sun again. So when the Bible talks of the sun having a circuit, it's talking about the sun circuiting around a flat earth. Number 8, circle of the earth. So those who loosely read the Bible point to Isaiah 40 verse 22, which says, it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth. And they use that verse to support a round earth. But there is a difference between a sphere and a circle. Isaiah knew the difference between a ball and a circle because he describes a ball in Isaiah 22 verse 18.
But Trey Smith, you didn't. You used in your video about the Noah's Ark, you used a sphere. I question you there, brother.
So why did Isaiah not use the same word for ball when describing the earth in chapter 40? That's because the Earth is not a ball, it's a flat disc shape with a dome on top and pillars underneath. Number 7, grasshoppers. Psalm 33, verse 14. From the place of his habitation, he looks upon the inhabitants of the earth. You can't do that on a 13.8 billion light year across the universe. It's a dome. Isaiah 40, verse 22. It is he that sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers. If you're outside the expanding heliocentric universe, then we wouldn't resemble grasshoppers. The entire galaxy would resemble a speck. It's a dome over a flat earth. Number 6, deception. Matthew 24, verse 24. If it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means. Ephesians 5, verse 6. Let no man deceive you with vain words. So, if you are deceived about the ball-shaped earth, thinking a sphere is the truth, then you've got no chance of ever being able to understand the Bible, yourself barred from all knowledge. If you take the view that the flat earth is a distraction, then what exactly is it distracting you from? What? Celebrity gossip? Or if you believe it doesn't matter if the earth is round or flat, then you're a self-confessed idiot, because it absolutely does matter if the earth is flat or round. You'll never be able to understand the Bible at all if you think the flat, round earth is a distraction or doesn't matter. Number 5, tent. If we go back to Isaiah 40, verse 22, and expand on it, if you remember, it says, it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreads them out as a tent to dwell in. Here's a picture of my tent. I went camping in it a month ago. How exactly are you confusing a tent, a dome-like structure, for an expanding universe 13.8 billion light years across? They don't match up. Again, this verse gives credence to the fact that it's a flat earth with a dome-like structure above. Number 4, ends of the earth. Job 37, verse 3, and his lightning unto the ends of the earth. Daniel 4, verse 11, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. Proverbs 30, verse 4, who hath established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is his son's name, if you can tell? Wow. Wow. Proverbs is Old Testament, and what a prophecy that is. Not only is it predicting Jesus, the Son of God, but also the ends of a flat, level earth. There's no end on a ball-shaped earth. It goes around continuously. You can only come to an end on a flat, level plane. Number 3, lies. Jeremiah 16, verse 19. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. This is a future prophecy following a monstrous destruction of people who believed lies. But it could just as easily apply now, today. Here we are today showing evidence of the ends of the earth, telling people the earth is flat, and the generation who lived from the 1930s until now got lied to. The generation above us inherited lies, and those who stand for nothing will believe anything. There's no end to the earth on a ball. That's because it's not a ball, it's flat. Number 2, the 4 winds.
And just after this video, I'm going to expand on this 4-wind concept and show you some extra canonical Bible scriptures from Enoch.
The Bible is consistent all the way through, from Old to New Testament, that there's 4 winds. For example, Jeremiah 49, verse 36, 4 winds. Daniel 7, verse 2, 4 winds. Matthew 24, verse 31, 4 winds. Revelation 7, verse 1, 4 winds. If you've got understanding, you'll know there's a jet stream that connects North America with Europe. Commercial aircraft try to fly in the jet stream to conserve fuel. Do some diligent research and you'll find there's 4 jet streams, 2 in the north and 2 in the southern hemisphere. So how did the guys who penned the Bible know about these 4 jet streams when they were only discovered in the 1920s, when planes could finally fly high enough to discover them? So we have a dome-shaped Earth that requires cross-ventilation. Okay, so here's an example of cross-ventilation. Here's my boiler in there, and you've got to have two ventilations, one at the top and one at the bottom. It's not sufficient to just have one because that wouldn't circulate the air through. You've got to have two for sufficient ventilation. If you want to properly ventilate your roof to prevent dry rot or wet rot, you'll need a minimum of two vents, one here and one here. But if you want to ventilate the entire Earth, then you'll need inlets of air and outlets. That's why in Revelation 7 verse 1 it says, I saw four angels standing at the four corners of the earth, holding back the four winds of the earth, so that no wind would blow on the earth or on the sea or on any tree. And the picture you see on screen is a graphical representation of the four angels on the four corners of the earth. Each of them would feed in a jet stream of air into the dome, a bit like a leaf blower, to cross-ventilate the entire earth. Jet streams wouldn't work on a ball-shaped earth because they'd fizzle out to nothing very quickly. The only way I can visualize a jet stream working is to feed that jet stream somehow into the system by an inlet. It's impossible to replicate a constant fast-flowing column of air on a ball earth without something feeding that air into the system. Scientists will try and make out the case that hot and cold air colliding will cause a jet stream, but I think that's unlikely. So that brings us to the number one reason, and that is mathematics. In Psalm 147 verse 5, it's referring to the Almighty. It says, his understanding is infinite. And if we get to Genesis 1 verse 1, in the beginning God created the heaven, singular, and the earth. What you're about to see is approximately 20 seconds of complicated stuff. Just follow along as best you can here for 20 seconds, because this will knock your socks off. In Hebrew, the first sentence of the Bible looks like this. If you take the number of Hebrew letters and times that by the product of the letters, and then divide that by the number of words times the product of the words, you get 3.1416. That's the value of pi to 4 decimal places. Pi is the relationship of a circle's circumference to its diameter, so you measure the circumference of any circle all the way round and divide that by the diameter straight across, and you get 3.14, the value of pi, an infinite string of numbers. Okay, that's the complicated stuff over. What the Bible is describing here is clearly a circle and not a sphere. And only a flat geostationary circular Earth fits that description. And if that failed to knock your socks off, then you've not been paying attention. Because what we've got here is the Bible describing the creation of the Earth in words, and behind those words we've got a mathematical formula that not only verifies the authenticity of the text, a fingerprint of God if you will, but it describes the very shape of the Earth, circular. In the future, I might post a video just on this subject alone, or I might write a book on the subject, or I might correspond with and collaborate with people who care.
Excellent video. By TigerDan 925. Excellent video. Excellent video. Let's take a look at Enoch. And this is by Robert Farrell. He's another good friend of mine and someone that I respect very much. He's done some amazing, let's say, decoding scriptures. You can catch him, Robert Farrell. His channel is Apocryphal 1970. I can't find anyone. I've never seen or found anyone who's done more for extra canonical scripture. He basically has written what's called the Super Gospel. You can find almost 22 hours of scriptural connections through extra canonical scriptures like the Nag Hammadi, the Sans Scroll Script. I can't even say it all. He's just basically gone through everything. The lost books of the Bible, the Apocryphal of Mary, everything. But in these videos, he breaks down the luminaries and basically explains the winds, the moons, the suns, how they work, how everything works inside of this creation. And these books were written thousands upon thousands of years ago. So let's take a look at some of these.
As they are, and how it is with regard to all the years of the world and unto eternity, till the new creation is accomplished, which dureth till eternity. And this is the first law of the luminaries. The luminary, the sun, has its rising in the eastern portals of the heavens, and its settings in the western portals of the heaven. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises, and 6 portals in which the sun sets, and the moon rises and sets in these portals. And the leaders of the stars, and those whom they lead, 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all following each other in accurately corresponding order. Also many windows to the right and left of those portals. And first there goes forth the great luminary named the sun, and his circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. The chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from the heaven and returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is so guided that he comes to the appropriate portal and shines in the face of the heaven. In this way he rises in the first month in the great portal, which is the 4th of those 6 portals in the east. And in that 4th portal from which the sun rises, in the first month are 12 window openings, from which proceed a flame when they are opened in their season. When the sun rises in the heaven, he comes forth through that 4th portal 30 mornings in succession, and sets accurately in the 4th portal in the west of the heaven. And during this period, the day becomes daily longer, and the night nightly shorter, to the 30th morning. On that day, the day is longer than the night by a 9th part, and the day amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun rises from that 4th portal, and sets in the 4th, and returns to the 5th portal of the east 30 mornings, and rises from it, and sets in the 5th portal. And then the day becomes longer by 2 parts, and amounts to 11 parts, and the night becomes shorter, and amounts to 7 parts. And it returns to the east, and enters into the 6th portal, and rises and sets in the 6th portal 1 and 30 mornings, on account of its sign. On that day the day becomes longer than the night, and the day becomes double the night, and the day becomes 12 parts, and the night is shortened and becomes 6 parts. And the sun mounts up to make the day shorter and the night longer. And the sun returns to the east and enters into the 6th portal, and rises from it and sets 30 mornings. And when 30 mornings are accomplished, the day decreases by exactly 1 part, and becomes 11 parts, and the night 7. And the sun goes forth from the 6th portal in the west, and goes to the east, and rises in the 5th portal for 30 mornings, and sets in the west again in the 5th western portal. On that day, the day decreases by 2 parts and amounts to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun goes forth from that 5th portal and sets in the 5th portal of the west, and rises in the 4th portal for 1:30 mornings on account of its sign, and sets in the west. On that day, the day is equalized with the night, and becomes of equal length. And the night amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts. And the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises 30 mornings in the 3rd portal, and sets in the west in the 3rd portal. And on that day, the night becomes longer than the day, and night becomes longer than night, and day shorter than day, till the 30th morning. And the night amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the day to 8 parts. And the sun rises from that 3rd portal, and sets in the 3rd portal in the west, and returns to the east. And for 30 mornings rises in the 2nd portal in the east, and in like manner sets in the 2nd portal in the west of the heaven. And on that day the night amounts to 11 parts, and the day to 7 parts. And the sun rises on that day from the 2nd portal, and sets in the west in the 2nd portal, and returns to the east into the 1st portal for 1:30 mornings, and sets in the 1st portal in the west of the heaven. And on that day the night becomes longer, and amounts to the double of the day. And the night amounts exactly to 12 parts, and the day to 6. And the sun has therewith traversed the divisions of his orbit, and turns again on those divisions of his orbit, and enters that portal 30 mornings, and sets also in the west opposite to it. And on that night has the night decreased in length by 1/9 part, and the night has become 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. And the sun has returned and entered into the 2nd portal in the east, and returns on those his divisions of his orbit for 30 mornings, rising and setting. And on that day the night decreases in length, and the night amounts to 10 parts, and the day to 8. And on that day the sun rises from that portal, and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises in the 3rd portal for 1:30 mornings, and sets in the west of the heaven. On that day the night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as to its days 364. And the length of the day and of the night, and the shortness of the day and of the night arise. Through the course of the sun these distinctions are made. So it comes that its course becomes daily longer, and its course nightly shorter. And this is the law and the course of the sun, and his return as often as he returns 60 times, and rises, the great luminary which is named the sun forever and ever. And that which thus rises is the great luminary, and is so named according to its appearance, according as the Lord commanded. As he rises, so he sets, and decreases not, and rests not, but runs day and night. And his light is 7-fold brighter than that of the moon. But as regards size, they are both equal.
Well, that's an interesting statement right there. Basically, I'm just going to reread this again one more time. The great luminary, and is so named according to its appearance, according to as the Lord has commanded it to. As he rises, so he sets, decreases not, and rests not, but runs day and night. And his light is 7-fold brighter than that of the moon. But as regards size, they are both equal. So, that's quite the prediction that was thrown down by Enoch. Actually, it was like a commandment or a tablet that was created like Noah's, that Enoch was given to by the Father. Enoch was, one of the only people in the Bible. There's 3, I believe, that have ascended into heaven: Enoch, Elijah, and Jesus, without dying. God so loved Enoch, for he did all that he was asked, that he, he never tasted of death. And it's pretty interesting that he's stating that the sun and the moon are both the same size, which flat earthers are now coming to conclusions as they are roughly each 3,000 miles wide. And it's pretty interesting that he says that it runs day and night, and to me that basically points to where it is night on this part of the flat earth, it is day on the other. He rests not, so it's a continual circuit of the sun. And it's just amazing that Enoch has written all this down and left it for us, as he was told to do, for a remote group in the future. This was all scripture that was written down, but not for this generation, but for one of a remote in the future. And whether it's ours, whether it's the next generation, I'm yet to be the judge. But I find the information irrefutable. There's some interesting words like portals and openings, but it's kind of hard to understand things of heaven if we can't understand our physical earth. But Enoch's done a great job to relate this information. So I'm going to continue, and the next is going to be the moon and her phases as she completes her circuit. And I hope everyone's enjoying it. Peace.
And after this law, I signed another law dealing with the smaller luminary, which is named the moon, and her circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind, and light is given to her in definite measure, and her rising and setting change every month, and her days are like the days of the sun, and when her light is uniform, it amounts to the 7th part of the light of the sun, and thus she rises. And her first phase in the east comes forth on the 30th morning, and on that day she becomes visible, and constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun in the portal where the sun rises. And the 1/2 of her goes forth by a 7th part, and her whole circumference is empty, without light, with the exception of 1/7 part of it, and the 14th part of her light. And when she receives 1/7 part of the half of her light amounts to 1/7 part, and the half thereof. And she sets with the sun, and when the sun rises, the moon rises with him, and receives the half of 1 part of light. And in that night, the beginning of her morning, the moon sets with the sun, and is invisible that night with the 14 parts and the half of one of them. And she rises on that day with exactly a 7th part, and comes forth and recedes from the rising of the sun. And in her remaining days she becomes bright in the remaining 13 parts. And I saw another course, a law for her, and how according to that law she performs her monthly revolution. And all these, Uriel, the holy angel who is the leader of them all, showed.
That's revolution of a circle above the flat earth.
To me, and their positions. And I wrote down their positions as he showed them to me. And I wrote down their months as they were, and the appearance of their lights till 15 days were accomplished. In single 7th parts she accomplishes all her light in the east, and in single 7th parts accomplishes all her darkness in the west. And in certain months she alters her settings, and in certain months she pursues her own peculiar course. In 2 months the moon sets with the sun. In those 2 middle portals, the 3rd and the 4th, she goes forth for 7 days, and turns about and returns again through the portal where the sun rises, and accomplishes all her light. And she recedes from the sun, and in 8 days enters the 6th portal, from which the sun goes forth. And when the sun goes forth from the 4th portal, she goes forth 7 days, until she goes forth from the 5th, and turns back again in 7 days into the 4th portal, and accomplishes all her light. And she recedes and enters into the 1st portal in 8 days. And she returns again in 7 days into the 4th portal, from which the sun goes forth. Thus I saw their position, how the moons rose and the sun set in those days. And if 5 years are added together, the sun has an overplus of 30 days. And all the days which accrue to it for one of those 5 years, when they are full, amounts to 364 days. And the overplus of the sun and of the stars amounts to 6 days. In 5 years, 6 days every year come to 30 days. And the moon falls behind the sun and stars to the number of 30 days. And the sun and the stars bring in all the years exactly, so that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto eternity, but complete the years with perfect justice in 364 days. In 3 years there are 1,092 days, and in 5 years 1,820 days, so that in 8 years there are 2,912 days. For the moon alone, the days amount in 3 years to 1,062 days, and in 5 years she falls 50 days behind, to the sum of 1,770 days. There is to be added 1,062 days. And in 5 years there are 1,770 days, so that for the moon the days in 8 years amount to 2,032 days. For in 8 years she falls behind to the amount of 80 days. All the days she falls behind in 8 years are 80. And the year is accurately completed in conformity with their world stations and the stations of the sun, which rise from the portals through which the sun rises and sets 30 days. And the leaders of the heads of the thousands, who are placed over the whole creation and over all the stars, have also to do with the 4 intercalary days, being inseparable from their office, according to the reckoning of the year. And these render service on the 4 days which are not reckoned in the reckoning of the year. And owing to them, men go wrong therein, for those luminaries truly render service on the world stations, one in the first portal, one in the third portal of the heavens, one in the fourth portal, and one in the sixth portal. And the exactness of the year is accomplished through its separate 364 stations. For the signs and the times and the years and the days the angel Uriel showed to me, whom the Lord of glory hath set forever over all the luminaries of the heaven, in the heaven and in the world, that they should rule on the face of the heaven and be seen on the earth, and be leaders for the day and the night, the sun, moon, and stars, and all the ministering creatures which make their revolution in all the chariots of the heaven.
Again, that revolution is a circular set motion.
In like manner, 12 doors Uriel showed me, open in the circumference of the sun's chariot in the heaven, through which the rays of the sun break forth, and from them is warmth diffused over the earth when they are open at their appointed seasons. And for the winds and the spirit of the dew when they are open, standing open in the...
So Enoch just said that the sun has openings under it in the dome that give off the warmth.
heavens at the ends. As for the 12 portals in the heaven, at the ends of the earth, out of which go forth the sun, moon, and stars, and all the works of heaven, in the east and in the west, there are many windows open to the left and right of them, and one window at its appointed season produces warmth, corresponding as these do to those doors from which the stars come forth, according...
So Enoch's not only stating that warm wind blows from the corners of the earth, but he's also referencing the sky having an east and west, which would be, the Australian perspective of the night sky, the heavens above, and the North American perspective. There's or the northern or southern hemisphere, but on a flat earth. It's just incredible.
As he hath commanded them, and wherein they sat corresponding to their number. And I saw chariots in the heaven, running in the world above those portals in which revolve the stars that never set. And one is larger than all the rest, and it is that makes its course through the entire world. And at the ends of the earth I saw 12 portals open to all the quarters of the heaven.
So again, I'm going to go back to this picture. This picture here is what Enoch's describing, just so everybody's on the same page. It's also openings here, which you can't see. And as for this shape around, it could be square. I'm not going to imply any thoughts here. I'm just showing you what he's talking about. The circuits, the revolution, the dome, all the portals, all the openings, where the wind blows, just keeping everybody understanding here.
From which the winds go forth and blow over the earth. 3 of them are open on the face of the heavens, and 3 in the west, and 3 on the right of the heaven, and 3 on the left. And the 3 first are those of the east, and 3 are of the north, and 3 of the south, and 3 of the west. Through 4 of these come winds of blessing and prosperity, and from those 8 come hurtful winds when they are sent. They bring destruction on all the earth, and on the water upon it, and on all who dwell thereon, and on everything which is in the water and on the land. And the first wind from those portals, called the east wind, comes forth through the first portal which is in the east, inclining towards the south. From it come forth desolation, drought, heat, and destruction. And through the second portal in the middle comes what is fitting, and from it there come rain and fruitfulness and prosperity and dew. And through the third portal, which lies toward the north, come cold and drought. And after these come forth the south winds through 3 portals. Through the first portal of them, inclining to the east, comes forth a hot wind. And through the middle portal next to it, there come forth fragrant smells, and dew and rain, and prosperity and health. And through the third portal lying to the west, come forth dew and rain, locusts and desolation. And after these, the north winds. From the 7th portal in the east come dew and rain, locusts and desolation. And from the middle portal come in a direct direction health and rain and dew and prosperity. And through the third portal in the west come cloud and hoarfrost, and snow and rain, and dew and locusts. And after these 4 are the west winds. Through the first portal adjoining the north come forth dew and hoarfrost, and cold and snow and frost. And from the middle portal come forth dew and rain, and prosperity and blessing. And through the last portal, which adjoins the south, come forth drought and desolation, and burning and destruction. And the 12 portals of the 4 quarters of the heaven are therewith completed, and all their laws, and all their plagues, and all their benefactions have I shown to thee, my son Methuselah. And the first quarter is called the east, because it is the first, and the second the south, because the Most High will descend there. Yea, there in quite a special sense will he who is blessed forever descend. And the west quarter is named the diminished, because there all the luminaries of the heaven wane and go down. And the 4th quarter, named the north, is divided into 3 parts. The first of them is for the dwelling of men, and the second contains seas of water, and the abysses, and forests, and rivers, and darkness, and clouds. And the third part contains the garden of righteousness. I saw 7 high mountains, higher than all the mountains which are on the earth, and thence comes forth hoarfrost, and days, seasons, and years pass away. And I saw 7 rivers on the earth, larger than all the rivers. One of them, coming from the west, pours its waters into the great sea. And these 2 come from the north to the sea, and pour their waters into the Erythraean Sea in the east. And the remaining 4 come forth on the side of the north to their own sea. 2 of them to the Erythraean Sea, and 2 into the Great Sea, and discharged themselves there, and some say into the desert. 7 great islands I saw in the sea, and in the mainland, 2 in the mainland, and 5 in the Great Sea. And the names of
There he was just describing the continents.
the sun are the following. The first, or Hares, and the second, Tomas. And the moon has 4 names. The first name is Asonja, the second, Ebla, the third, Benasse, and the fourth, Irae. These are the 2 great luminaries. Their circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and the size of the circumference of both is alike. In the circumference of the sun, there are 7 portions of light which are added to it more than to the moon.
Okay, did everyone get that? So the sun is 7 times brighter than the moon.
And in definite measures it is transferred till the 7th portion of the sun is exhausted.
And he's stating that the sun transfers its energy to the moon in 7th parts.
And they set and enter the portals of the west, and make their revolution by the north, and come forth through the eastern portals on the face of the heaven. And when the moon rises, 1/14 part appears in the heaven. The light becomes full in her. On the 14th day she accomplishes her light, and 15 parts of light are transferred to her till the 15th day, when her light is accomplished.
And this is still the exact way that we observe the sun and the moon and the phases and the days of the month, still to this day. And this book was written thousands of years ago.
According to the sign of the year, and she becomes 15 parts, and the moon grows by the addition of 14 parts. And in her waning, the moon decreases on the first day to 14 parts of her light, on the second to 13 parts of light, on the third to 12, on the fourth to 11, on the fifth to 10, on the sixth to 9, on the 7th to 8, on the 8th to 7, on the 9th to 6, on the 10th to 5, on the 11th to 4, on the 12th to 3, on the 13th to 2, on the 14th to the half of the 7th, and all her remaining light disappears wholly on the 15th. And in certain months, the month has 29 days, and once 28. And Uriel showed me another law. When the light is transferred to the moon, and on which side it is transferred to her by the sun, during all the period during which the moon is growing in her light, she is transferring it to herself when opposite to the sun during the 14 days. Her light is accomplished in the heaven, and when she is illuminated throughout, her light is accomplished full in the heaven. And on the first day she is called the new moon, for on that day the light rises upon her. She becomes full moon exactly on the day when the sun sets in the west, and from the east she rises at night, and the moon shines the whole night through till the sun rises over against her, and the moon is seen over against the sun. On the side whence the light of the moon comes forth, there again she wanes till all the light vanishes, and all the days of the month are at an end, and her circumference is empty, void of light. And 3 months she makes of 30 days. And at her time she makes 3 months of 29 days each, in which she accomplishes her waning in the first period of time, and in the first portal for 177 days. And in the time of her going out, she appears for 3 months of 30 days each, and for 3 months she appears of 29 each. At night she appears like a man for 20 days each time, and by day she appears like the heaven, and there is nothing else in her save her light. And now, my son, I have shown thee everything, and the law of all the stars of the heaven is completed. And he showed me all the laws of these for every day, and for every season bearing rule, and for every year, and for its going forth, and for the order prescribed to it every month and every week, and the waning of the moon which takes place in the sixth portal. For in this sixth portal her life is accomplished. And after that there is the beginning of waning. And the waning which takes place in the first portal in its season, till 177 days are accomplished, reckoned according to the weeks, 25 weeks and 2 days. She falls behind the sun and the order of the stars exactly 5 days in the course of one period. And when this place which thou seest has been traversed, such is the picture and sketch of every luminary which Uriel, the archangel, who is their leader, showed unto me. And in those days the angel Uriel answered and said to me, Behold, I have shown thee everything, Enoch, and I have revealed everything to thee that thou shouldest see, this sun and this moon, and the leaders of the stars of heaven, and all those who turn them, their tasks and times and departures. And in the days of the sinners the years shall be shortened, and their seed shall be tardy on their lands and fields, and all things on the earth shall alter, and shall not appear in their time, and the rain shall be kept back, and the heaven shall withhold it. And in those times the fruits of the earth shall be backward, and shall not grow in their time,
Sorry, some technical difficulties there. Yeah, anyways, I hope everyone enjoyed it. And that's about it.
To the sun that shines, to the moon that follows, to the night that comes, to the day
Everyone make sure you subscribe to Matrix Decode. Check out the Flat Earth Rebel Outpost.
There's material that's following it out of the galaxy. So why do Big Bang theorists vigorously reject ARP's interpretation that quasars were ejected from galaxies, although it is based on observation? Good question. Because it utterly demolishes their key assumption of how matter first formed in the Big Bang. It also calls into question many distances determined by quasar redshifts. In his section, Alternatives to the Big Bang, in his book, Professor Joseph Silk admits, only, quote, only by disputing the interpretation of quasar redshifts as a cosmological distance indicator can this conclusion be avoided.
the
towards the truth, peace, and happiness. And I think the closer we are to the truth, the closer we are to our Father in heaven. Peace. God bless you all.